Grand Rising Soul Siblings, it's Shay Seeking from American Aborigines Unchained here on YouTube and in the Facebook group. And yeah, so I've been away, it feels like, for a couple of weeks now. And I don't know, it's just been a lot going on. Yeah, this is my first like video. And I really don't like to, but we're gonna go ahead and do it. So yeah, so I've been away for a while. I don't know if some of you guys walk with me on Facebook, but a while back I think it was like right after the election and stuff like that. I think I had already went through like the book of Revelations and I closed it and I said, okay, what's next? And so I don't know. I think from there I kind of just hit like a standstill. I sat back for a couple of weeks or whatever, and then I'm like, I don't know. I just feel this. I felt a different energy moving forward, like leaving 2020 and all of the stuff that went along with it behind. Feeling like things are moving in a different direction, and more of a let's do this kind of like energy, where I've done enough videos on how the system was set up to so-called oppress, and I just want to move forward now because I feel like the ball is in our court. I mean, just people in general, moving forward, being positive, supporting one another, changing the dynamics. Kind of like I've been even like holding off on watching anything in the media that have to do with whatever's going on in politics, and just focusing on what I can do and how I can be of service to the people by using things that I do know how to do. And again, if you guys see me looking all around, it's just because I'm feeling all weird or whatever for being on camera, but hopefully I'll get used to it. So during that time, I felt like there was just like a negative presence, or just even like a presence as to media turning, or social media turning to in a direction where it was kind of like looking, at me. I started to feel like an energy, like, I don't know how to explain it, like almost like a social media was looking through my soul, and some of the stuff I felt like I didn't like, or some of the stuff I felt like people might have misunderstood me, and I was just kind of trying to figure out how to not come back acting all different and everything, but I did have a form of a revelation where I wanted to start talking about, now we've talked about all that, let's go ahead and talk about how we build and support each other while doing so. How I can dig deeper into other things that I needed to do. But I think I kind of felt that energy, and it kind of like set me back for a minute. And then all of a sudden I'm just doing like research or whatever. It's kind of like the universe was like sitting me down, and I felt like even at that time, like, I have to say something. But for me, I'm the type of person, I sit back and I absorb things and I figure out, how to adjust, or even I'm somebody that even challenges myself to change things about myself that I don't like, or that I notice, or that other people point out, as far as like my children and stuff like that. So I just think that it's time, for growth in all different directions. And what else? And loving, and being open, and I guess letting down my guard or whatnot. And I just didn't know how to do it, and still be me, and just focus on things that I feel that I can bring to the table, because again, we got. Unity is key. You know what I'm saying? Knowledge is power. Sharing is caring. All those things that you guys hear me saying, all the time. And so I've tried to keep the group up. I try to keep the group up even though I haven't been posting that much on just regular social media, I've been trying to make sure I try to get posts in and everything like that to keep that going, and support other people at that time, by sharing other information. Um, and I try to kind of let you guys in on some of the stuff that was going on with me. But again, I don't know if everybody kind of got some of the posts that I was putting out, about strange things that just were like random, right? So anyhow, all right. So the biggest thing that happened during that time is, I cannot even remember. I think it was something about the book of Esther, right? Okay. So I started to look for like a real life version of something that have to do with someone named Esther. This name is just happened to be, a name that is, uh, in my lineage or whatnot. And I was wondering why I was so, gravitated so much towards that story. And then I found other information from like the 1920s that had to do with like a real life incident that happened to a girl, right? And so I don't know, I started reading her story. I think just at that point, the ancestors were just guiding me, because again, there's a lot of discrepancies in my family tree. So it's kind of hard for me to, navigate and to find certain things. There's like, and I know we all end up going through that at some point, stuff being blotted out, erased, or missing, or, you know, uh, finding like cliffhangers and stuff like that. So uh, the way I do that is to also go into historical things that were going on in different places, that have to do with certain names and, surnames and things like that. And so, anyhow, I started to read this story, right? And as I'm reading the story, things started happening like, not only that, I felt like a presence of being monitored or watched, even, in my household, right? I felt like different presences and energies and like cold sweats and waking up feeling strange in the middle of the night. And, you know, it just was like overwhelming, right? And so when I started reading this book, it kind of started coming to life. And, I always talk about how The Never Ending Story was like one of my favorite movies growing up. Getting lost, him going up in the attic and getting lost in that book and finding out that the book could be pertaining to something, that has something to do with him, actually. Um, like mirroring something that have to do with him. And so I think it was just really overwhelming. So we're going to go ahead and I'm going to go through this book, right? And I'm going to, I don't think I'm going to read the whole thing to you guys. It is a strange type of story in the way that I'm going to be telling it. But, if you guys are interested, then, stick around. Sorry. Okay, apologies. So yeah, if you want to just stick around or whatever, I'm going to tell you how this book kind of came to life, right? So the book is called The Spring, right? And just so happens that it was only one copy on Amazon, because I had read almost the whole thing on my phone, but I can't stand reading on the phone if I can have a copy. So I ended up looking for a copy, and there was only one on Amazon, and I ended up picking it up. And so I'm gonna tell you what like just opened up my eyes like right away. Now, this is strange. This is something new. And again, just looking through history and seeing how a lot of indigenous or originating women were taken or kidnapped and taken in as like science experiments. We already know how that happens with just like the body. But, there was a lot of stuff that happened with the mind, with them taking these women in and kind of tapping into their minds, in order to find ancient burial grounds, in order to find treasures and things like that. And they called them scryers. It was called scrying or crystal gazing or something more like that has to do with clairvoyance. Second sight, things like this, right? And then they would turn them into like a circus act almost, right? And so I'll just go ahead, and this is just the intro into this story. I don't know how to do it, but y'all know I just do things the way I do them, and that's just the only way I know. Okay, so I'm just going to read the first page of this because it's very telling. Again, after I realized what I was seeing and what I was reading, I was going to go ahead and start taking pictures of the scene, right? But it just so happened that it started to snow a lot here. Yeah. And that's me procrastinating because I waited like a day or two to even think if this was something that I wanted to talk about, because these people were ostracized. They kind of went to themselves because they didn't feel like they could talk to anyone about this, family members and things like that, what told them not to speak on it. But then I asked around in my family because I ended up, sometimes I just like to go and get too much information before I do something, to try to get it easy to relay to people. And there was this movie called Second Sight that was actually on Lifetime. And so I was watching the movie and like my family was cracking up because they were like, oh my goodness, that sounds just like you, and so, it was just a funny thing. But yeah, so after watching that movie, I think I gained a little bit more confidence. And then I started to ask around the family to see if there was any strange stories about anybody that saw anything when they were young or had any kind of contact with anything, anything on a different level or in a different realm. And I found out that, yeah, they did have certain things that would be oddities, or like this book calls it, queer, that happened to them. And so I was just like, okay, well, maybe this is them guiding me into doing something that, I feel like I've been doing it already with the biblical text. And so, it kind of just ended up happening in this book. So again, let's stop talking about it. Okay, so I'm gonna read the first page of this book and then I tell you what happened while I was reading this. Okay, so it said the spring is in the left foreground. Low rocks dip from right and left to its basin. The sound of it is heard continuously. Light reflected from its small circular pool plays up into the faces of those who bend over it, right? And it says the sunlight comes in level from the left. Now, me reading this, I listen to like small details and it starts to kind of hit different, you know what I'm saying, while I'm listening to it, and starts to kind of come to life. And then it says that behind the spring stands an immense white oak tree whose branching foliage roofs the scene. Behind the tree, a grotto-like arch in the base of a rocky hill. Deep center grows a white oak sapling. To the right, a thicket. A sharply ascending path goes off right behind the thicket to the hilltop. Another front of the thicket running off right will reach and ascend Rock River along its north bank. The path going off left from left front leads to the Sauconnaut. Namke or Namake is discovered alone by the spring. She sits in quietude of contemplation, which goes richly. She wears the color of the scene. She has been painting a black bird with spread wings on the stretched skin of a shallow drum. Beside her, a stiff skin is folded into a small oblong trunk. By the spring, a water jar, a brown earthen cup, and a small jar for magic. This contains 6 kernels of corn and 6 quartz crystals. Singing bird comes in left from the village. Okay. Now, it says here, Namke, your brother Namsamsi, where is he? And we're just gonna stop there. Okay. So, okay. So, and I don't know if this is gonna work right. I have a couple of pictures on my phone here. All right. again, hope you guys are doing well. I know I haven't, spoken to you guys in a while. And so after reading all that, right? So, matter of fact, I gotta keep this in my hand. So it just so happens that I'm looking, after this, I'm tripping, right? I go look out my window from the top floor, and I'm looking in my backyard, right? Now, again, somebody can make, I've been seeing these type of things for a long time now. Now seeing it now, thinking about things that happened when I was like 9 years old and things like that, right? Seeing people in one place, but they weren't there. They were in another place, things like that. So, and nobody wants to be looked at as being crazy. But again, you guys have seen me kind of doing this on the channel already. So again, it's on my heart to put it out. Okay. So again, the spring. Now, during reading this book, I seem to think that the spring has something to do with something more than just the little pond, because in the backyard, okay, I have a little circular pond, and in that pond, we have a solar kind of circle thing that is like a spring, right? So when the sun comes out, which happens to be from the left, right? It shines on it, and then the water starts to sprout. Okay. Maybe I'll just show the pictures really quick. Y'all, I'm too nervous. Okay. So, all right. I don't know if you can see. All right. You ain't gonna be able to see. That light thing is in the way. Okay. So, wait. Let's get. Okay, I'll take this. I don't want. I'm not prepared. I kind of just like randomly did this. Yeah. Hold on 1 second. This is my craft room, office / library, something. So, excuse the mess if the thing goes a little bit too far over. All right. So let's see. All right. So, this little spot right here, in here, is where my little circular pond is. This thing right here, okay, is a sunroom, right? Later on in the story, this stuff will come to life a little bit better to you guys. Okay. Can't see it that good. And like I said, once it, maybe if we still doing this and the snow is like melted, we could go ahead and go on a tour and I could show it to you in real life. It's probably the best thing to do in the first place, right? All right. Oh, and then here's another kind of strange looking, I don't know if you guys can see that. But there's another strange looking, that's like the front of the house up by the street, right? And I don't know if you can see what I'm doing here. Okay, right here. I'm shaking a little bit. Okay. Looks kind of like a large skull and kind of like a body laying, and again, this is just me and how I be seeing stuff, right? Okay. So, after doing a lot of research on the area, there were battles that happened in this area. Okay. Now, again, we're going to have to do a tour, if you guys are still interested in the story by then. This house over here is my neighbor's house. This is where all of the little, the grotto and stuff like that is at the end of the hill. Okay. Now, there's another storyline that kind of is similar to this one, where it says something about the oak burrow, right? How two oak trees meet and the branches are reaching towards each other, right? So once I seen that in a different book, you can see the two trees left and right, hopefully. After seeing that and finding out about, possibly people getting lynched in one of these trees over here, that I think Okay, might be okay here. In the summertime, that tree is, well, it's huge. It's huge. Like I couldn't even put my arms around the tree, right? Okay, that's in the neighbor's house. If I'm